The 2 miles of Sunset Boulevard between Hollywood and Beverly Hills are called the Sunset Strip. Surrounded by the entertainment world, the Strip's nightclubs cater to the famous, its shops to the wealthy, and its photography salons to the beautiful. For those who aren't any of these things, for those whom the parade has passed, there are the street corners.
Big pics only. Fewer and better, says Hollywood. TV, boom. Lifesaver for those who can adapt themselves to new medium. The handwriting on the wall.
Drivel. It's a lot of rubbish. Nonsense.
Code 3.
My name is Barrett, Assistant Sheriff, Los Angeles County. Sunset Strip, where the glitter attracts the failures as well as the successes, has always been a sensitive area for us. We know that here, perhaps as nowhere else, a push one way or another can make or break a man's life. And we try to be a force in the right direction.
Where's she working?
Pete Howard, high fashion layout.
You're a lucky guy, Frank. Carol's a beautiful girl. How long you two been married now? 5 years?
7.
7? And they said it wouldn't last. Hiya, Sarge.
Hiya, Charlie. 10 minutes out.
You looking for something?
A callus patch. My feet hurt.
Are you sure it's your feet after riding around that car all day? Have to get along with the sergeant. He's technical advisor on a new TV series. Oh, this is Frank Merrick, Sarge. Good actor.
I remember Mr. Merrick.
Thank you, Sergeant.
You getting started tomorrow, Sarge?
Hope so.
Well, is there anything open?
I don't know. Call Fred Davis.
I think I'll do that.
Who's Fred Davis?
Oh, one of those bright boys from New York. Photographs an ear, an eye, a ripple in the water. You know, TV.
And have a look at it.
Oh, you will.
Hi.
Hi.
Have a nice day, darling.
No picnic. Pete couldn't get the lighting effect he wanted, so he took it out on me. He must have made 200 shots.
You must be beat.
Oh, I can take it. How was your day?
Spent it catching up on phone calls. Did some promising things.
Really, Frank?
Mm-hmm. 2 big pictures start shooting at Fox. Got a chance at both of them.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Parts are perfect for me.
Did you get an appointment?
Not yet. I expect to line one up tomorrow.
Oh, I see. Frank, would you mind very much if we didn't go out to dinner tonight?
What's the matter?
I promised Pete I'd come back.
Didn't you finish?
Well, yes, but you see, there's someone he wants me to meet. Keeley's in town, and, well, he's just about the biggest fashion photographer in the field.
Couldn't you meet him some other time? We've been planning a night out all week.
I didn't think you'd mind, Frank.
Of course I mind. But then if you have a chance to meet Keeley,
I'll call Peter and put him off.
I wouldn't think of it. You go right ahead.
Please don't be angry, darling. It is important. What will you do with your evening?
I promised to drop in at a couple of spots.
Oh, I had to cash my check, and I don't want to carry all this money around, so would you?
Forget it. Forget it.
Has he been there? Oh, thank you. No, no message. I'll try later.
All right, Carol. I'll see you in here. What's the matter? You worried?
It's Frank. I have a feeling I shouldn't have left him tonight.
Snap out of it, honey. He's a big boy and your mother complex is showing. Keeley isn't coming to see Mama. Now come on and smile. Put it up just a little. That's it. A real good one. Now hold it.
Hello, Bill. How are you?
Frank Merrick.
Don't get up.
You know my wife, Louise.
Pleasure to see you again, Mrs. Connell. Bill here's been a stranger lately.
To me, too.
Then he must be busy. Do you mind if I join you?
Oh, pardon me, Frank. Sure, sit down.
Thank you. Mrs. Connell, I bet you don't know how many pictures I did for Bill, do you?
3 or 4, wasn't it, Mr. Merrick? That was some time back, I believe.
4. And you're right, it was a long time ago. Before Bill was making $8 million extravaganzas.
How about you, Frank? Have you been busy?
Oh, sure, same as always. But I wanted to talk to you about the Dickens story.
I wish I could use you, Frank. I thought of you, but the studio insists on a contract player. Maybe I could talk to some of the other producers on the lot.
I'd appreciate that, Bill, only you told me the same thing a couple of months ago. I'm trying to call you about it, but I can't get through to your office.
You call me? I never got the messages. I'm terribly sorry.
I know when I'm getting the runaround, Bill. Why?
Run around? You're making a mistake.
Making a mistake? How long do you think it's been since I've worked? I'm a good actor. What have I got, a disease?
Louise, I think...
Just a minute, I ask you something.
Frank, come to my office. We'll talk about it there.
I can't get into your office. I want answers now. I'd appreciate it if you mind your own business.
You're my business as long as you're here. You know, I've been around show people a long time. I like 'em. I know how it can get when bad breaks start piling up.
My luck will change. Slump out here.
Ever work in television?
My salary's $1,000 a week. I can't get it in TV. Well, go ahead. Why don't you ask it?
Ask one.
What my wife's salary is.
I know what your wife's salary is. Remember a lot of your pictures. You always played the friend of the hero or the guy who didn't get the gal. Played 'em mighty well, too.
I also played leads. You saw the wrong pictures.
Maybe. Yeah? Oh, thanks, Johnny. That was the restaurant. There won't be any charges against you.
And I can get out of here?
In a minute. How much money did you make last year?
What's the difference?
That's a good enough answer.
I made $2,000 last year, and I haven't worked this year, but I'm not going to go crawling to these TV producers. I don't know them, and they don't know me, and I can't make the rounds like a kid just breaking in.
Who says you have to? Do you really want to go to work?
Of course I do. What do you think?
We think it's easier to help people before than after.
Who said I need help?
You're here, aren't you? Hello, Fred.
Oh, hi, Sarge. No, I'm just getting ready to leave. Frank Merrick? Sure, I remember him. Used to play featured roles in pictures. He's a good actor. Where's he been all this time? Yeah, I'd like to meet him. Good. I checked your salary, Mr. Merrick. $1,000 a week. I'll prorate that and give you $200.
You mean the part only runs one day?
Well, the whole picture only runs 2.
That's television.
I know it's not what you've been doing, Mr. Merrick, but it's a showy bid, and it motivates the whole story. I'd really like to have you play it.
All right.
Good. Here's the script. The part is marked. I'll see you at 7 in the morning.
7?
Makeup. We'll have you on your way home by noon.
You sure I can't phone this part in?
I appreciate this, Fred. I know it's not part of being technical advisor, but...
Forget it. Let's just say it's part payment on an old debt.
You don't owe me anything.
I owe Merrick something. I owe him a lot.
He didn't mention it.
He doesn't know about it. I was just getting started in New York when, almost overnight, I woke up in a naval hospital at Pearl Harbor. I was a gone gosling to hear me tell it. 4 years in the service, and afraid it passed me by. I was looking forward to a life on disability compensation. When one day, they ran a movie in the hospital. Merrick was in it. I don't remember the plot, but I sure remember Merrick and what he said. In the picture, he played a guy who got kicked around, but he fought back. Kind of like, you know, the Christophers. He said, even you or I could change the world. I felt like jumping right up out of that bed. 3 months later, I was back in New York as a studio page boy. Television came along. Here I am.
You know, of course, that Merrick is an actor. He was just reading lines that somebody wrote for him.
I know. But if he hadn't said them, I might not have believed them. Good night, Sarge.
Good night.
Carol. Carol, darling, I got wonderful news.
Frank?
I got a job in television.
What'd you say, Frank?
I got a big part on a TV show.
Oh, really? What show?
It's a new show called Before the Fact. They screened a couple of segments for me before I signed. A great series.
That's good.
They start tomorrow. Producer's been trying to get hold of me for days. He promised me a running part at a big figure. I'm on my way again, Carol.
I hope so. Frank, something big happened to me tonight.
To you? What? What is it?
I wowed Keeley.
Keeley?
The big fashion photog. Next month, he's doing the cover of Look, and he wants me. Me!
Look.
Imagine a magazine like that. It's what I've always wanted. Frank, if this works out, we'll never have to worry about things again.
Sure. Maybe I ought to just retire.
Frank, what's the matter?
You're not interested. You've just written me off, haven't you?
Oh, that's not true. I was just so excited about my own news. Oh, Frank.
Save it. I've had enough for one night. More than enough.
Why didn't you tell me you were in it?
I didn't sign till last night. The only reason I'm doing it is that they told me it was the lead and I wanted the TV experience.
Oh, you don't have to snow me, Frank.
What do you mean, snow you? You don't think I'd have done this character bit, do you?
Frank, you're a nice guy. Why don't you start living with the truth?
Good to see you, Frank. We're just setting up for your first scene.
Already?
Oh, we work fast in television.
Yeah, I guess you do. I hope you don't mind my changing my face a little. I wasn't too pleased with what the makeup man did.
Well, let's see. I'm afraid you made yourself a little too young.
I studied the script. I thought it hurt audience identification if the part was played too old.
But we've already shot a scene referring to your age. Jim, Mr. Merrick had an idea about playing this part younger, but we can't do that now. Will you fix him up again, please?
I'd rather do it myself.
Well, we're almost ready to go, Frank, and Jim here's the speed king. The biggest tyrant in TV is time. We have to get used to that.
All ready, Mr. Davis.
We work on a very tight schedule, and we can't deviate from it, even for a good idea. Frank! This is Frank Merrick, fine actor. Used to be a big man in pictures. Don't let the set bother you, Frank. Things look quite different in television.
They must. What's the action?
Well, you enter the tent, and you walk right down here to Marjorie. She'll hand you the letter, and you turn and deliver your first speech to Charlie.
And where's the camera?
Now, the camera will be moving up over your right shoulder on Charlie.
And then you reverse on me?
Oh, yes, of course, a big head.
Can't we change positions? I look terrible from that angle.
Well, you don't have to look pretty in this part. As a matter of fact, it's better if you don't.
Better for you, maybe, not for me.
We both want the same thing, a good show. Now, let's try it this way.
I still say you're spoiling the effect.
Okay, action.
My kid's back. Line?
He's sick and tired.
He looks sick and tired. Line.
You were supposed to study this dialogue last night.
I didn't get to it.
Don't you know any of your lines?
I'll pick them up between takes.
Well, there is no between takes. This is it.
What do you want to do?
Learn your part. We'll come back to this later.
You said you'd have me out of here by noon. I'd like to work now.
We can't work until you learn the part. Now, be a good fellow. Please, don't hold me up.
Please don't please me, Mr. Davis. You've given me a hard time from the minute I saw you. I've had just about enough patronizing.
I'm sorry you feel this way. We'll try again some other time in some other picture.
You're firing me?
Mr. Merrick, you're disrupting my whole organization. Charlie, do you know this dialogue?
Yes, sir.
All right, let's rehearse it once and then shoot it. Now, you walk in the tent, you walk over the mark.
How are you, darling?
What are you doing home so early?
Oh, kept thinking about last night. So I got off to help you celebrate your first day at work.
Celebrating nothing. Davis tried to make a fool of me. Right in front of the whole crew.
Didn't it work out at all, Frank?
Kid like that. I was making movie history when he was rolling hoops. I'm not going back tomorrow.
Well, this is a new thing. Maybe these kids have a method in their madness. Why don't you give them another chance?
Because I've still got a little pride left, that's why.
Frank, last night you accused me of not caring anymore. How can I keep on caring when you do things like this to yourself?
Am I supposed to grovel while you become America's sweetheart?
Please don't bring me into this, Frank. It isn't my doing.
I wouldn't be in this mess if it wasn't for you. I could have done that play in New York if you'd have left the Strip.
Stop lying to yourself. Stop it.
I would have had that play and the picture in Italy, too, only you came first.
I'd quit modeling tomorrow. But who'd pay for the apartment and the fancy cars? And who'd keep you in Danish pastry so you can impress your misfit buddies?
That check is mine.
Four days later, the sheriff's office got a complaint from Fred Davis's accountant. The check issued to Merrick had been raised $1,000. A pattern for many Los Angeles embezzlers is a stop in Las Vegas in an attempt to increase their takes. In Merrick's case, the Las Vegas police were notified immediately. The procedure paid off.
I thought I had another couple of days at least. I kept thinking I'd win enough to get out of the hole. I just kept losing. And that's all there is. I was broke when they picked me up.
What were you figuring on doing after Las Vegas?
I told you I was coming back here to pay off that check.
Eventually.
Are we quite finished? I've talked to you once too many times as it is.
Ed.
She's here.
Wait a minute, please. Your wife's outside.
Tell her to go home. I want to talk to her even less than I want to talk to you.
She wants to pay off Fred Davis.
You let her do it and I'll make trouble, I promise you. I'm in jail. I like it here. I earn my way in.
Sit down, Merrick. It's time somebody told you the facts of life. Thousands of people in Hollywood have adjusted themselves to changing conditions without whimpering, but not you. You're an adult delinquent and a problem to this department. Everybody tried to help you, but you wouldn't be helped.
Everybody like Fred Davis, you mean?
That's exactly what I mean. Now, let's talk about Fred Davis for a minute. There's a young fellow who thinks you're a hero. After you left my office that night, Fred Davis told me a little story.
You're Mrs. Merrick. I'm Fred Davis. They tell me you want to pay the check. I'm not going to let you do it.
Please, Mr. Davis. I know Frank is difficult, but he isn't bad. He isn't a criminal.
Letting you make restitution isn't going to help anyone. Your husband's a very sensitive man. I'm afraid he'll only get in trouble again.
I'm sure he wouldn't, Mr. Davis. I'll devote the rest of my life to seeing that he won't.
Even that isn't the answer.
You can come in now, Mrs. Merrick.
Frank, they wouldn't let me see you.
You shouldn't be here now, Carol. I know exactly what has to be done. Go on home. Please, go home.
No. It's my fault you're here, and here I stay until we leave together.
Nonsense, Carol.
If I'd only made time to listen to you. You had problems, and I should have tried to help. I should have quit Hollywood and gone to New York with you. I should have given you your chance at that play and that picture in Italy, and
Now, listen to me. Listen carefully. There never was a play for me in New York. The same with a picture in Italy. I just dreamed up all those big deals. I haven't been near anything that even smelled like a job, except for that one day's work with young Davis. I hammed my way out of that.
You're a wonderful guy. And I love you more at this moment than I ever did before. I'm so proud of you. Mr. Davis, Sergeant Hayes, come on in.
How are you, Davis? I'm sorry I made such a mess of your generosity. I'd like to make it up to you. I'll be a messenger boy, run a Mimeo machine, anything to pay back that money.
Well, that's quite an offer, Mr. Merrick. Let's see, as a messenger boy or Mimeo operator, you might be able to pay me back in a year or so.
We don't mind, do we, darling?
I'm sure you don't. But I have an idea that will let you pay me back in a month or two.
What's that?
Play a character for me in the television series I'm shooting.
You mean it?
Why not? Your husband's a fine actor.
Isn't that wonderful, Sergeant?
Except for one thing. A crime has been committed, a very serious one. Just because Fred gets his money back doesn't alter the fact. Forgery is a felony.
May I see that check, Sergeant? I see what you mean. This is entirely my fault. I neglected to explain to my accountant that I was paying Mr. Merrick in advance on future work, in addition to one day's pay. I'll be glad to explain that to the district attorney or to whoever's in charge of the prosecution.
Well, in that case, the sheriff's office will release Merrick after the necessary formalities.
Thanks, Sergeant.
Thank Fred Davis. You're a very lucky guy.
I'll never forget this.
How about a picture, Carol? Okay, Sarge?
Of Mr. and Mrs. Frank Merrick?
Well,
Why, certainly we'd be glad to.
All right, then, a little more life.
Just a minute. My good side. Sorry. Shoot.
In spite of the sympathetic efforts of Davis, Merrick had committed a felony. I think you should all realize that a forgery such as Merrick's is a crime punishable under law. Upon appearance in Superior Court, the judge decided that Merrick, who had no previous record, was a fit subject for probation. And you'll be glad to know that he has since given many fine performances on Davis's television shows. And now I'd like to introduce Eugene W. Biscaloose, Sheriff of Los Angeles County.
Friends, the members of the Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department are pleased to cooperate in the production of Code 3 in the interest of crime prevention and rehabilitation. We hope you'll join us again next week for another true case from our files. I thank you very much.